What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One Set. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome back to another episode of the One Set podcast. I'm Jim Green, along with my co-host and my best friend, Anthony Irvin. Anthony, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Welcome back, everybody, to all our new listeners. Welcome, and all our OGs. Thanks for coming back. You guys can hit us up on all our socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and right here on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell. And we are going to start our uploads on Mondays now. We've been doing Fridays for the last couple years. We're going to give Monday a try now. And we're if you listen to our last wrestling podcast talk, we're going to start doing those when we do wrestling talk. We're going to still put those out on Fridays, but we're going to leave our main bigger podcast episodes to Mondays. So there may not be always a Friday episode, but our main episodes are going to start being Mondays. So same time, 9 a.m. So we'll definitely be notifying people when we upload on those Fridays. But now our new weekly upload will definitely be on Mondays at 9 a.m. So make sure you're following us on all our socials again at OneSetPod, and hit us up on our email, onesetpod@gmail.com. Let us know the feedback. If you love the Monday uploads, we'll definitely check our analytics and all that over the next couple months. But just doing a little something new, seeing what happens. But along with that, Jim, let everybody know where they can hang out with us and chat with us outside of our episodes.
That's the Facebook group One Set Podcast. That's the number One Set Fam, not One Set Podcast. My bad. One Set Fam. I got it.
The fam.
The fam. Yeah, so we launched that around WrestleMania season, and we had such a fun time interacting with everybody for all of the WrestleMania predictions and the reactions in there.
Absolutely.
We have football season coming up, so I think it's going to really ramp up again.
Definitely.
So we'll be keeping people tuned into our schedule as far as if we're doing a wrestling prediction or reaction episode that's going to drop on Fridays, or if the episode is coming out next Monday. We're going to keep everybody notified in that One Set fan group on Facebook if you're following along with us week to week. Anthony, last week I finally got you in the studio, and man, what a time it was.
It was one for the ages, dude. I was so stoked to get in there with you and try to get this, dance, coordination in, because I knew I needed to kind of have somewhat of a formation. So it was fun to kind of just have you be the teacher, me be the student for once, because I've seen you teach at your old studio. I've kind of been in the room with you a couple times, but and we've had the wedding thing where you came in and we did it was like 12 hours before my wedding, and you came in and just did that whole thing. But this time it's like, actually, we get to sit down, dissect everything. So it was cool. And to really just be the student, you just being your aura, being able to teach somebody. So that was definitely a cool moment.
Yeah, and pardon me. You had said you had kind of some time, so I was like, instead of just jumping straight into teaching this Thriller dance to you, I was like, I'm gonna take you through a warm-up like I take my students through the warm-up. And it was cool to see where you were. I expected you to have not as much range of motion or flexibility, just having been at it, like kind of working a desk job. I know you're in the lab too, so you're not sitting at a desk all day long.
I'm a little bit more, it's like not like my old job where I would be in the lab for maybe like an hour or two, and then the rest of it is like sitting at a desk, where now I'm probably up 4 to 6 hours of the day, and then maybe 3-4 hours I'm just sitting down getting up. So it's definitely a lot more it's not as sedentary as my last job,
right?
But I definitely got to give my flexibility to definitely being a more athletic person in like high school and doing basketball and sports. So I think that's got to definitely contribute to a lot of my flexibility. And I mean, I impressed myself with not even stretching as much as I do with the lifting that I do. I should probably definitely get into more of a stretching routine just to keep myself, loose and everything. But I definitely impressed myself just as much as you thought with how, good my flexibility still is, which is good going into closer to the 40th year of our lives. But
It's right around the corner, right?
it's creeping up. But yeah,
Yeah. When
less than a week, I'll be 30. Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencaster. Zencaster is the ultimate based podcasting solution and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layer backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencaster's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to Zencaster.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. 9.
Yes. So this episode drops on Monday, the 21st. So your birthday will have been the day before. So I'm just going to say now, happy early birthday or happy belated birthday.
You. Yeah.
And I will definitely be chatting with you on your birthday on Sunday, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, 39, right? Like you got a year until your 40th. I have about a year and a half. And I texted you either right before the new year or right after the new year. And I was like, I know everyone says new year, new me. I was like, 2025 is going to be a great year. And man, I just got to say, like, we're doing stuff, right? Like,
we definitely are.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right. I feel like when we started the podcast and we're like, we have these ideas and like we did the weight loss challenge thing and that kind of fell through. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like you and I are definitely a lot more headstrong and like focused and proactive on like, okay, like we're in the gym when we can get to the gym and we're doing this challenge that's really got like, it's really got us moving.
Definitely.
After being in the studio with you, taking you through the warm up and seeing like your range of motion, your straddle even was way better than I expected it to be. And I talked previously about my students doing splits, and we didn't cover splits because we didn't really need to do splits, right?
I was like, yeah, that's as far as I go, buddy. Like,
so I was saying, like, as far as just trying to increase the range of motion in my hand with playing the guitar and really stretching just to the point of a little bit discomfort and being like, yeah, if I just go here, which is like comfortable, I'm not going to increase the flexibility in my fingers to be able to make those. I don't have giant hands. I don't have long fingers to be able to make those stretches. So I got to really work for it.
And that's a definite thing with guitar. Like, not every guitar, it helps because, I mean, I don't think I have like big hands, but I think probably, again, being a basketball player, you have the dexterity and like to be able to really stretch out your hand to grip the ball and be able to do a lot of your drills. So that's probably why my left hand and right hand are, pretty, stretched out, and then it helps to translate to the guitar. So especially people who have small hands, a lot of people think, oh, well, I have small hands, I can't play guitar. It's not always true. You just probably have to put in a little more work.
You got to put in more work.
Doing. Yep. You have to probably do a little more work than what a person with bigger hands, because there's dudes like Hendrix, like he had really big hands and he was able to use like his thumb as that bass note on the E string. So, and then he would have his other fingers, and I'll show you as a next time we're together, but his hands were so big that he was able to just grip the fretboard and use that thumb and put it on that low E string and be able to just, use that as a bass note And again,
It's so unfair, dude. It's so unfair.
it's nuts. But he was the one that invented a lot of those different like they usually call it like a Hendrix chord, where you're gripping it with your thumb and you have your other fingers on the lower higher strings to be able to make that chord. And it again, it gives a little bit of a different tone to the chord as well. But going back to small hands, like you can still play. It's just, again, you have to put in a little bit more time. But yeah, with flexibility wise, like you were saying, the fact that with dancing, I've noticed there's a lot of good things that I took from your teaching. The one thing I'll say is actually like staying on the balls of your feet,
Hmm.
because you know I'm more sensitive to staying on my heels most of the time. So trying to always, when you're stepping with your toe first, and I'm like that you're able to really like glide a lot smoother doing that. Because I've always wondered, like, how do you move your feet so smoothly and great and like gracefully? And you're saying it's because you're always on your toe. You're not necessarily using the full foot to really move. You're really always like on that ball of your foot.
Yeah, that
So when I started doing that, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see. Because like I would always like, I'm like, do you just like not wear like really grippy shoes to get that? And like,
it's part of
and
it.
yeah, that probably helps a little bit. But I'm like, I think it's just the way of like making sure you're stepping with your toe and getting that muscle moving, especially in that area. So that was like an eye opener to really help. And then you were talking about the reaching movements and like the dynamic of like, instead of being here, you're really stretching that movement to really emphasize that move.
So yeah, we were talking about Michael Jackson on stage, right?
Yeah,
And I had a mom years ago ask me like, how good of a dancer do you think Michael Jackson is on a scale of like 1 to 10? And I was like,
right.
I'd say fairly like a 9, right? And let me qualify the statement. Not a trained dancer, other than like what Real Mad Joe Jackson had him and the Jackson
Yeah.
5 doing when they were younger.
Right, because like, he just took a lot of his inspiration from a lot of different dancers from his era that he looked up to, and he never obviously had any training, but he was out there every night, so he was able to perfect his craft until he got into his solo years, and he had already had his whole line of his own dance mentality, and that's what you see today. And then to now, at that point, he was inventing new things
Yep.
For other people.
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting. And the same thing, like Hendrix didn't have any lessons. He just kind of was a self-taught person,
Mhm.
but he was a pioneer for the way he used to play the guitar and use the guitar with it had other people learning that to be able to make other guitar players and just like Michael, other dancers today model off of what Michael did. Same thing as guitar players modeling off of what Hendrix did. So,
Right. And I was talking about him being on stage, and he's trying to reach everybody in the audience, right? Like, so when in the Thriller choreography, when they're doing the shimmy and then they do the snap here, instead of just
yeah.
lifting your arm, you want to think about like really extending. And a
Uh-huh.
lot of that, like in the dance classroom, I taught so um a friend of mine that I used to dance with, and then I wound up teaching her in her last couple years of high school. She went on to college and double majored in dance and mathematics. So she would tell me some things like that she was learning in college about like what the professors were really preaching to them about performing. And she's like, the biggest thing that they really talk about is trying to push the walls away in the room and trying to really expand your range of motion that way. It just makes your movement that much bigger. And and
Mm-hmm.
this was like 10, 15 years ago, and I still think about that. So you think about Michael Jackson on stage, and when he's doing his "I love you" points to the audience and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he's hitting those here. He's not just like kind of snapping to here. He's really getting that range
Like,
in there, right?
yeah.
So I wanted to really impress that upon you. Like, okay, we're not just going through boring stretches for safety and for injury prevention. I want when you have the choreography memorized, once you and talked about some of the stances that he does because he's got those ball change, up, ball change, drop, turn, and then
Uh-huh.
we get the pelvic thrust in there. But like just talking about stances, and I was like, once you get those feet down, we'll really dissect like how far apart your feet are and just little things like
Right.
that that'll help make the performance look uh, as authentic to Thriller as we
Mhm.
can get it, given the time that we have, right? So
Yeah.
I think it was cool because after the warm up, we went into. I was like, I'm gonna teach you like what I like. One of the first things that I teach my beginner level 1 kids, and then it winds up applying into their warm up after we do our stretches. We go into this just like little 2-step footwork, grapevine, pivots, box steps, 3-point turns.
And I gotta say that was the biggest thing and I think that's where I noticed the balls of your feet being on the balls of your feet to really help with those. And I think doing that definitely helped me to start getting into the steps of the Thriller dance and really tackling those small techniques, adapting that.
It
So
it was
uh, it,
it was
it was a
perfect. It was
it
perfect,
was a
dude.
good intro to, instead, like you said, you didn't want to just throw me into it without like knowing any proper like technique or anything.
Mhm,
Just like the same thing as right now you're doing your little warm-ups
mhm.
to really stretch out your fingers and learning your chords, and I'm going to start teaching you how to, go from one chord to another, and I think you're already starting to kind of really do that on your own.
Yeah,
But
I've been practicing strumming patterns with like just E minor chords and D6/9
yeah,
chords that are like really easy chords to accommodate, right? Just 2 fingers instead of stretching to 3. It's the C chord, right? And the G chord that are like kind of tougher to navigate, right?
a little bit, because you're having a little bit more finger placement.
Mhm.
So there's certain chords that you can do a little bit easier because you're not moving as many fingers. You can learn to be like, okay, this finger's not moving, but I just have to move these 2 fingers. So just kind of learning where those fingers got to move. But then there's certain chords that, oh, okay, I got to go into a whole different shape. So it's like, and again, the metronome really helps with that. So definitely downloading a metronome and a tuner on your phone,
Yeah, that's
uh,
that's
or even on your computer, definitely helps. And just put that at a very slow speed and just go every, whole note, bomb, bomb, bomb. So like hold that out. Like you'll first just and I'm, as more dance, but like kind of going back into both of our challenges.
yep,
But you'll hold out that note for a 4 count, and as that 4 count's going, you'll change into another chord, ring that out for 4.
yep,
Once you get good with changing it every 4, then you can start working on your strums. So strum 2 3 4, strum 2 3 4, and then once you get better with that, then you can start going, instead of every 4, do every 2. So then you're, again, just little baby steps and plateaus to kind of get yourself moving faster into changing different chords too. So but I do got to say, uh from the first time doing guitar with you to the second time going with you, definitely a good improvement. And I'm looking forward
thank you.
to, going into the studio again with you, and then how you're going to dissect me, like, okay, the first time seeing me do this, and then going into the second time. So it'll probably be sometime next week. We'll definitely get in there sometime next week. And I definitely got to, you know, practice again. So I'll definitely be more prepared for it again. But I'm glad we took that video, because now I at least have a guideline and I can go off that and practice on my own. When I'm not in the studio.
Yep.
So I'm glad we took a video of that before we left.
Yeah, I was explaining, I know, like kind of back. I was letting you get all that out real quick. Um, the weight in your toes. I was telling you, I was like, it's actually a science thing, right? Like
Yeah.
if you take a top and you spin it, you're spinning it on a really narrow point, right? Like so,
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to turn on a whole flat foot, you're taking your whole foot surface area to pivot on. It's going to be tougher to spin. Like if
Definitely.
you took a top and you spun it, well, I don't know how you, because like the handle's narrow too for a top, right?
Uh huh.
But when I explain this to my students, when I've taught technique classes and really like driving home being in the ball of your foot, I would take a really sharp pencil and turn it on the tip of the pencil point and be like, watch this spin, and the revolutions would be, I don't know, you'd spin it and it will fall over after like
Yeah, but
after
before
three or
it
four.
does,
Yeah, it's going to go around 3 or 4 times. And I was like, then I would say, all right, now I'm going to spin it on the eraser. So the eraser is really flat, right?
yeah,
But it's a bigger circle and surface area, and I'd spin it and it will go around like one time and it just fall right over, right?
mm-hmm.
So that would help really drive that home with them. And I'd say instead of falling into your pinky toe, you've got like you've got a lot of skin to the side of your of the ball of your foot, and I'm like, if you try to pivot there, it's gonna hurt your ankles bad, and um you're not going to turn as well. If you want to do all of these fancy turns, you've got to live in the ball of your foot, right? So
Right.
that's in like a jazz lyrical ballet scene. So as far as like hip hop or dancing with your sneakers, like we're doing, just getting out of your heels. And I think I really drove this home when we started our pivot turns, right? Because we talked about it. Oh, no, I think I really talked about it when we started those 3-point turns after the grapevine. And I was like, don't step on a flat foot. And I was like, if you watch, I'm dancing with my heels just slightly off the ground, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
when we got to the pivot turns, I was like, these pivots are going to happen so much smoother if you just stay out of your heels. Just those little techniques. And like you said, that's really going to help when we go into like you practicing once you have the steps memorized, and then when we're really throwing like the personality in, and it's like, okay, we got to be like zombies now,
Right.
so it's gonna be so much fun, dude.
I definitely gotta put in the aspect that you had a very good like light bulb for yourself that came up about the dynamic of just the zombie part, because we only got to the zombie part, and then the next time we do, we're gonna tackle the chorus choreograph. But the concept of what you want to put in your head is that the zombies are just coming alive. So like every little bit is starting to you like really, wake up. So like when they first start doing the walk, they just have a little bit of foot movement. Then like their head starts and their little thing starts going a little bit, little movements, and then they just go and like
they start
little
driving into the hips. Yep.
the little jive rating, and then then they're doing the arms and blah blah blah, and then especially when you're doing like the little thing here, uh, the little nuances and dissecting things, like you're just letting your hands just dangle, and it's more the legs that are doing the shimmy. It's not really the hands that are going like this, because they're just here,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing the twist with your hips more. But then that here, like little things like how zombies kind of make sudden movements. So just little, and again, like you were saying, once we get the steps down, then it's like, putting all like the little like movements and dissecting, hey, make sure you're stepping here, put a little more weight there. Yeah. And I thought, as I got in the groove of it and doing a little bit of those steps, because and I knew I was definitely stiff on a lot of things, but it's just more. And I think you said the same thing when we were doing the guitar, and when we'll talk more about it later. But when you were in your vocal lesson yesterday, that you're just learning the techniques and the movements first, and then once you get that, because once I know the actual moves, then you can make it your own.
Yep.
And put your own little sauce into it. So it's like learning the steps. Then it's same thing with guitar too. Like when you're learning a song, learn the chords, learn the gist of it. Then you can put your own little, you into it. Like, since you know the chords, and then just put a little bit more action into it.
Right.
So I can't wait to kind of like, once I have everything down, to really start putting my spin on everything.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice.
And like that's the cool part about the thriller dance, right? Like we get to just kind of put our zombie approach into it, and you can't go wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the other two options that I had for you, the Men in Black music video, like
Mm-hmm.
all of those guys in like suited up and dancing, they wanted to be dancing with that same exact intent and approach, and just super clean, sharp when it should be sharp, but mostly just super cool. Just you think about how Will Smith is I guess rapping, right?
Uh-huh.
Rapping that track, and um just being super smooth about it, right? But with dancing smooth, you think, oh, that it looks like slight work. The professionalism in that is there's a lot of like resistance throughout your muscles in your body that helps to like really smooth that out. They're not just like
Mm-hmm.
marking their movement. I feel like the misconception, and we were talking about this when you came with me to my voice lesson yesterday, is like even though you're singing a note soft, there's still work to be put in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's still technique to focus on, and there's still ways to drive those notes home. We don't have to worry about that with this one. And like I think the other with Thriller, we don't have to worry about that. It's kind of like you can be dead when you want to be dead, and you can throw like really sharp movements in when you want to. If we're trying to be like true to the video, then you can really dissect like, okay, this dynamic is like this, so we want to be like this here.
Right.
But I think once we get like the costuming, the makeup into it, and we're doing video for the scene, because
Right.
we're going to go all out and make this look. It's not like we're just going to be in a dance studio doing the dance, doing the steps.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna,
We'll try to do, and we'll try to do a little bit of theatric stuff for the guitar thing too. We'll get into character with it too a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll be pretty fun. I have some fun little, if we're doing like character stuff, it'll be pretty fun. We'll do a little stuff with that. But yeah, it's again, going into the voice lesson, what the coach was saying is, you know, you go over techniques and learn the techniques of a song, because right now you're learning how to sing the song proper, but then when you actually get those notes, you know which notes to hit. Not always going to be perfect. Every singer is not always perfect, but you know, when you're actually out there singing, you're not always worried about technique. It's more about the emotion that you're putting in there, and you know, sometimes that emotion won't always be right on that note, but and you know, sometimes, you know, when you get that little, you know, you might have a little bit of a like a little vibrato at the top, and like, so it's, but that's the human nature of when you're putting emotion behind the voice. And that's again when you get out of technique and just actually, because like the video I sent you yesterday, you know, again, I'm not much more, I don't really know much technique. I just know and again, he was talking about that he somewhat has a perfect pitch,
Mm-hmm.
but he knows like certain things, and that's kind of how I feel I am. Like I don't really have perfect pitch, but I know I can tell when a note is a little flat, a little sharp.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, if I'm trying to get a chord on the piano, like I'll start singing it, but I'll, you know, hold it there for a minute. If I'm not on, I'll be like,
Yep.
and then so they're kind of raising up to it. So sometimes you might have to like, and you were doing that too. Like you when he was working with that one note with you, you were just a little under it, but he was telling you just push through it. And sometimes even like doing your little like grade here, that helps too, to really visualize like really getting up there kind of, and it's all about like a visual thing,
Yeah.
you know. So that usually helps me when you know, trying to like think of a note. So
Right.
it's the same thing with dance. I feel it's, you know, you're once you get those little placements down and knowing how much feel you got to put into that, and because you can be technical all you want, but if you're just going through the motions, you don't have any pizzazz, you're just doing the dance. But the once you know it, then you put your action into it, your emotion, that's where the perfection comes in, and that's where the dancer, you know, vibe comes in, because anybody can just do something technical. It's when you put your heart and soul into it and actually like feel the movement, that's where it you know, the moment comes from.
Yeah. I mean, as a teacher, and when we're setting routines, it's very much like the more time we take to spend setting the routine or teach the or choreograph the dance and teach it to the students, the less time that there is to get that emotion in there. And then the routine as a whole steps on stage, and it's like they're just trying to drive home and hit their marks technically, and then the feel that was inspired, that was inspiring the theme of the piece or whatever, um doesn't deliver. And that's because like
Hmm.
maybe the routine didn't get wrapped up in time so that they had time to really drive home the confidence in knowing the steps and performing the steps, but two, feeling the emotion behind it. And I feel like for me, learning how to sing, just having my second lesson yesterday, and I was so glad that you were able to join me for that and see, because like in the very last couple minutes of the session, I really like made a breakthrough and was like,
Yeah.
okay, I think I might actually be able to do this, and like half decent, right?
Yeah,
Um,
because it definitely have like those breaks because once you kind of know where your voices go and like how we say like there's chest voice and like your little thing and a lot of like your nasal cavity. It's amazing like when you break down like how your voice really comes about and everything like because he was saying like this is the actual instrument but how you pronounce certain vowels and where it's coming from in your headspace and once you kind of know and feel where that note is then you can kind of know okay and talk about like pushing not pushing but just letting it go. It's amazing what you can do with your voice when you just kind of like not really and thinking about like tensing up you don't want to kind of like relaxing and that's why like when he was saying like instead of sitting back you want to sit up straight because then you're getting the most amount of airflow and you're really putting a lot of like air and breath into that because sometimes when you're not hitting a note you might just need a little bit more air before that.
mhm.
That definitely helps when I know I'm about to hit like a note that might be a little harder. I give myself a little bit more of a breath to really get to that note.
Yep.
So and again, that's little things when you know something's coming up and where you are breathing.
You can time
Uh,
your breathing right.
you can time your breathing right. And that was another thing you ran into. What right? I forgot where in that spot, but like he was. I think it may have been in the exercise he was teaching to really like it was like a I think a 2-4 count to really like and then
Yeah.
so it's kind of like timing that next note and everything. So yeah, you're definitely getting. And there's a lot of theory to like where your notes are, but again, the theory will come.
Yeah.
And once you kind of get familiar with hearing that note, then you won't even need to really hear it. You'll kind of just know like where that is or where you need to be when you just hear a chord. And then another music theory thing is once you kind of dissect to know how a chord is made, that starts translating into guitar. And then knowing like your root, your third, and your fifth, that makes a chord. And that will translate into how a chord's made. And then you're going to be able to see, like I was telling you, you're going to be able to see how that chord is made in several ways down the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing with voice, you'll be able to like that's where harmonies come in with voice. Sometimes people are singing on that root, but then harmonies come with that third and fifth. So when you see people saying like, oh, I'll take the third harmony, you take the fifth, they're talking about the different notes that make up that chord. So again, little theory, which is a little more advanced, but again, you were teaching me a couple advanced things that will be good down the line.
Yep.
But it's good to kind of have a little bit of brush about them because then once those things start connecting, that's when you really start making a bigger plateau and like really knowing certain things. Like the big like light bulb moments are like the best things that come. Like what the last big light bulb was learning like the cage system and learning how chords are made and where they are shaped throughout the neck. Then you can play those chords all throughout the fret. You never have to worry about being like, oh, I only know how to play them up here. And once you learn that, you're like, oh, I can play it here, I can play it there, here, and you'll never like run out of ways, and you'll know like different chord voicings and Same thing with a voice. You'll be able to know how to sing something here, how to sing it down in a lower register, how to get to a harmony where in another so it's a fun thing when you can really get out of like the beginner and start dissecting notes and everything.
Yeah, and it's cool that we're both like, the challenge was just like, oh, let's see if Anthony can do this dance. Oh, let's see if Jim can play this song on guitar. Like,
Yeah,
to
and
be
now we're taking it to like the nth degree of really trying to, say like, hey, I don't just want you to dance this. I don't just want you to play this. I want you to understand the theory behind it. I want you to understand. I want you to be able to, you know, hopefully, if you like this will teach you to learn something more. And then if you like, then knowing that I'll be able to know how to somewhat dance after this, I can, start really seeing how you see things a little bit more than like learning different things here. Same thing with guitar. Like you'll be able to start playing different songs because now that you've learned this little one, now you can adapt that to different songs of how you learn how to play something, and it'll just like spiral into other things.
Yeah. I am gonna teach you one day that BTS piece that I was like, this one's pretty advanced, but like, let's get your feet wet with this Thriller one. We can do that Men in Black one. I mean, I think that Men in Black one will be easy for you after we get through this Thriller one, just because the movement is a lot more contained because it's supposed to be clean and cool, right? Like,
right.
So I feel like this is a good starting place for the dancing bit, and I like I said on one of the previous episodes, like when I started really driving into this, I was like, I would love to get up and play a song with you someday. And you said after the vocal lesson yesterday, you're like, that's definitely happening now.
Because I'm like, yeah, he's definitely got it. You may not know, but keep at it. You definitely got it.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely make it happen, because it's like sometimes, not saying like I was doubting it, but I'm like, let's just let's take it as it goes, and I definitely will want to. But after like the ending of that, and you really like, you definitely hit like a spot where you're like, I know what I'm doing now, and like you kind of just knew how much to really lift into that, and I'm like, yeah, he's gonna get this.
Yeah.
So if he continues with it and then starts to adapt, then then I'm like, ah, crap, I gotta start doing some lessons, so I'm not behind you.
Dude, it's no pressure, man. And like, singing was not like, it's not my top priority. Like, I want to learn the guitar and I want to get really good on the guitar. I just wanted to have decent vocals so that when we do perform together, I'm not like sounding like shit,
It's a good thing to have. I mean, and definitely it's a thing, like just playing guitar, but singing and playing at the same time, that's a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a thing that I can teach you at a point too, because then there's times where I have to like slow down a certain part to be able to really know the mechanics of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like anything, take it slow, and then learn as you be able to speed it up.
Yeah.
But this challenge just keeps on evolving, and into just more than just a dance and more than just a guitar part. So like you said, like 2025 is your year, and I'm stoked to like see that you're taking little parts to really try to learn new things, and that I'm trying to get back in the gym more consistently, and just taking things a little more serious. So we're definitely I love that we're taking more things from our podcast and actually adapting them into our everyday life now, instead of just saying we're gonna do a weight loss challenge, and we do it like a week and like
we fell
like
off
we're actually doing certain things that we're saying here. Like we're not just talking just to talk.
Right.
So
feels better.
It's good,
right?
It does.
Feels better to be like, I want to do this, and then like putting in the time, putting in the work, and doing it, and then being like, we said we were going to do it, and we did it. It's the sense of accomplishment. Is like, okay, if we did that, what can we do next? Like,
right,
and
exactly.
And you said, if we could throw on a variety show one day, like, and that's the thing is like, I'm not going like doing a variety show and us playing together, and like you getting up there and not just doing a Thriller dance, but being like, I actually learned how to dance. Like, it might not be like full blown professional, but it's like
Right.
my thing with you
I
is
know more than just a two-step. Yeah.
I would love any given song to come on and you be able to just like move your feet around, move your shoulders around, move your hips around, and just move to the beat and feel a good groove.
Yeah.
And like that would be it for me. Like if
Same thing with guitar,
like
like just kind of like knowing that you're visually seeing the neck, and like, because a lot of people, like when they hear like, oh, guitar blah blah blah, they're just like, yeah, like, but as a guitar player, you can visually see like, oh, okay, he's up in this register, oh, he's down here, or like you can visually see like probably where that, notes being played.
Mhm.
So again, like when you get fresh and comfortable with the fretboard and everything, you'll kind of know like, oh, okay, he's playing this chord, or oh, he's playing around this area of the neck, or blah blah blah. You'll start to visually see that.
Yeah, I am stoked. I'm stoked.
Same, dude.
Anthony, we want to wrap this one up?
Yeah, man. Thank you again. I cannot wait to get back in the studio with you again for our second lesson. I definitely was so inspired after it, and glad I got the video. Now I got to get to practicing. But thank you all again. This has been the One Set Podcast. My name is Anthony Irvin. I'm here with my best friend and co-host, Jim Green. Once again, make sure you guys tune in to us every Monday now at 9 a.m. And with our wrestling talk again, we'll be having them on Fridays, and we'll let everybody know when we'll be doing those. If you are tuning into the One Set Fam, you would know that we put out a Friday wrestling episode prior to this a couple days ago. So if you haven't, make sure to go watch that and join the One Set Fam to check that all out. And so subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that notification bell, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at One Set Pod. And again, Jim, let everybody know once again what that name is of our group chat where they can hang out with us outside of our episodes.
That is One Set Fam on the Facebook group. One Set Fam, not podcast. The number one Set Fam on Facebook. We love to hang out with everybody in there. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode. All the love to you. Anth, love you, brother. Until the next one.
Love you too, dude. See y'all next time.